Jalen Hurts gets the headline here, 264 yards and a couple of touchdowns. He also had the go-ahead 45-yard pass, catch, and run to Devontae Smith in the fourth quarter. And Philadelphia barely getting by Cleveland, 20-16, the final. The subplot to this, though, involves the head coach having a very public hissy fit, which is always something that gets my attention. And so the Eagles win the game. They do not end up dominating a game that many thought they were going to dominate. But Nick Sirianni, the head coach in Philadelphia, he got into it. He was upset, hot-headed, with some Bird fans there, booing Bird brains, upset with Nick Sirianni. As the game finished in the final minute, running out the clock situation, the coach put a finger to his right ear, a la professional wrestling great Hulk Hogan back in the day and many others since. And he continued to chirp back at the angry Philadelphia fan. In the first few rows there at Lincoln Financial Field, Sirianni was captured by the Fox cameras and saved for posterity's sake. So let us discuss the question. Right? What is your position on Nick Sirianni, head football coach in Philadelphia, engaging with the Eagles fans? So I've got binoculars, calculator, and Hersheyland. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to give you a first down is what we're going to give you. So, Nick Sirianni continues to be a show pony. Continues to be, right? He's playing with matches here. This is a tinderbox of a situation in Philadelphia. Should have been let go at the end of last season. The fact that he was brought back is a failure of ownership in Philadelphia. Nick Sirianni has no business being a head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles after what happened at the end of last year, and he sacrificed his offensive and defensive coordinator. The team is very mediocre to begin this season, and they're 3-2, which is slightly better than average. Last I checked, slightly better than average. You don't get too excited, warm and tingly, about beating the Brownies, who are driving the struggle bus at this particular point. Cleveland is in the Bermuda Triangle of the NFL. They are. So what are we doing here? Now, Nick Sirianni, who's supposed to be the grown-up in the room, right? Isn't that what I say? Well, you're the coach. You're the face of the franchise. You're the CEO. Blah, 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 blah. Lead by example. Show the players the way you're supposed to act. Block out the noise. Compartmentalize the situation. Instead, Nick Sirianni's out there on the sidelines, and he's got binoculars. And he's doing some bird watching as the coach of the Birds. And he's not looking for Eagles. No. He's not looking for Eagles here. And while he is coaching, he's actually more like a different part of the feathered friend family, if you will. Not the Eagles. No. Sirianni is a sparrow, is what he is, right? He's out there on the sidelines. He's got that high-pitched chirping. Nick Sirianni, the sparrow of head coaches, and he acts like, you know what he acts like? He acts like a sports talk radio caller or a social media user with a burner account. That's what he acts like. That's Nick Sirianni in a nutshell. That's who he is. He happens to be the head coach of an NFL team. And he clearly did not purchase a pair of those noise-canceling headphones. And why would you when you can engage with the trolls? Now, if Sirianni thought he did a good job, he did not, beating the Cleveland Browns in a game that was much closer than it had any business being. That is not a game you get style points in at all. And so Sirianni continues to be on borrowed time. And you look at that short list of possible destinations for Bill Belichick, and Philadelphia certainly is on that list. But the other problem the Eagles have is Jalen Hurts, spotty at best. All right, spotty at best. It's a bit of a mess. It is a bit of a mess there for Jalen Hurts. He got paid, and the team got played. Now, page 2. Turning the page to the losing locker room here, following the latest Cleveland defeat, Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski. Yet again, Kevin Stefanski decided I'm going to stand by my man, his beleaguered quarterback, the creepy quarterback, Deshaun Watson, who has had a season right out of Dante's Inferno, but will continue on. Stefanski left no wiggle room when asked by the assembled media whether or not Deshaun Watson was going to remain QB1 in Cleveland heading into next week's game against Cincinnati, the Battle of Ohio. Stefanski said one word, yes. That's what he said. So why on God's green earth does Deshaun Watson continue to get now weekly votes of confidence despite week after week middling returns for the Cleveland Browns? So why do they do it? Every week Stefanski comes out, that's my quarterback. I like him. That's my guy. So it's rather obvious now, even those of you a little slow, like Bill in Venice, who called in earlier, and some of the other people that listen to this show that call in, it's rather obvious now that Deshaun Watson's performance is irrelevant. It does not matter how terrible the quarterback's performance is. He's keeping the job because Kevin Stefanski, in terms of benching Deshaun Watson, has been castrated. He has no balls, none. He can't do it. Prove me wrong. Deshaun Watson should have been benched 3 or 4 weeks ago. 3 or 4 weeks ago, and he continues to go out there. He has failed to lead the Cleveland offense to, in this game, he failed to lead them to a touchdown, and the Browns don't have a 20-point game this season. We're now through 6 weeks of the NFL season, and they don't have 20 points. Now, the reason that Watson continues to be QB1, it's all about the calculator, a.k.a. the fuzzy math. And Watson is ironclad in terms of job security. The reason he's ironclad, $230 million fully guaranteed, that albatross, and most of it's gone already, but the Brownies still owe Watson $92 million after this season, fully guaranteed over the next 2 years. So he continues to be the starting quarterback while not earning the job, not deserving the job, and being a blight on the landscape for the Browns. Now, last word here. We head now to the old Cleveland Browns, which is in Baltimore, where Derrick Henry rumbled and stumbled for 132 yards and a pair of touchdowns. The Ravens got a half-point cover over the Commanders. That was another bad beat for me. 30-23. They were 6.5-point favorites in that game. They win by 7. One of the subplots in this game, though, involves the broadcasters for CBS. You had Tony Romo and Jim Nantz calling the game. This was their big broadcast crew for CBS. And some people were upset with Tony Romo. What did Tony Romo do? What did he say? Well, Tony Romo accidentally, it's going to blow you away. You're going to be shocked by this. Tony Romo accidentally referred to the Commanders by their old name, the Redskins. Oh, my God, no, Tony, oh, my God. Where are you on the overreaction machine to people freaking out by Tony Romo calling the Washington Redskins, even though they've changed their name? I found the whole thing amusing. I did. I find these stories, they pop up every couple of weeks in the NFL season. And the wokesters always get their panties into a bunch here. They're very upset by this. They are annoyed. I can't believe it. They're not that name, that evil name. What's wrong with you? It's just the whole story to me I find amusing. The team in D.C. was called Redskins for over 80 years. They changed their name because Dan Snyder was trying to keep the team, and so I'll change the name of the team, and that didn't work out. They ended up forcing him out as owner anyway. And while Romo was playing in Dallas, every time he came to Washington to play a game, it was against the Redskins. Go figure. Much to the dismay of the wokesters, the market research, and this is something that the Washington executives do not like to talk about, but from what I've heard from reliable sources, that the research they've done, they've asked season ticket holders, what would you like the team to be called? And more times than not, the surveys have indicated that the Redskins is the name that the fan base would like to have back. That's the name that they had while growing up, supporting the team and whatnot here. More importantly, as of now, here's the biggest issue. It's one thing to get rid of the nickname Redskins. They never replaced it. That is a faceless, nondescript placeholder nickname. Commanders. It is so lame to the membrane that people are like, we'll still call them the Redskins, because we know that they just don't have a real name. It's direct from Hershey's land. They are the whatchamacallits, the thingamajigs. So it's like the Washington whatchamacallit, the Commanders, but it's like, well, that kind of generic logo, and they still do like Hail to the Commanders, but it's really Hail to the Redskins and all that stuff. The team is incognito, but not Richie incognito, and the name is lame, and they'll try to come up with a new name that's not as lame, and they'll change the name. They got the new owner there in the next year or two. They're going to change the name, and whatever they come up with, it can't be much worse than Commanders. However, I wouldn't put it past the NFL marketing arm, because, everyone's offended by everything, so I'm sure they'll come up with something that will be offensive to someone, but we'll stay tuned for that.